I've said this before, but do you remember the way that Subway sandwich shops used to smell?
Yes.
Because they still smell great.
They still smell amazing.
And it still mostly tastes the same. Yeah. But there was something, it was almost briny. There was something.
I actually can't wait for our annual Subway the night before Lord of the Rings.
Really?
Yeah. I just never think of going to Subway. And so now it's just
one of my guilty pleasures. Like it's not really guilty, but it's
always just I don't get that sandwich at any of the other sandwiches. But I'm just yeah, turkey and provolone with a little bit of mayo, lettuce and tomatoes. And I'm like, ka-ching.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching American Horror Story, Season 11, Episodes 1 and 2.
Something's coming, and thank you for your service.
We're not entirely sure how we're going to proceed with this, but for this first one, we're just going to do the first two together.
They seem to be coming out twice.
They are, apparently.
2 per week, so we'll be done in 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
We may, if certain ones feel a little more, then
I'm probably going to want to do episodic, but because this was premiering, I was sort of fine getting...
It also does feel like a 2-part premiere.
Yeah. Hope is a dangerous thing.
Every goddamn
for
year.
Someone like me to have.
Especially with a Ryan Murphy production.
Okay, this feels different. This feels like a different show. For starters...
Let's run back last year's first 2 episodes.
Well, we liked Red Tide.
It fell completely to pieces.
In the final episode, but go back and watch our...
Yeah.
We like 5 of 6 episodes.
I'm just saying.
And we literally just pretend the 6th episode doesn't exist because it ends in the 5th one.
It's true.
We liked Red Tide, and we had fun with aliens in the desert.
Yeah.
Planet Zero. I don't remember.
What
was it called? Roswell?
No. Shit.
Death Valley.
Death Valley.
No, this feels a little different. For starters, the entire production going into it was getting up to this point, it was feeling like an afterthought. They weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
There was no promo. There was no news. A bunch of the AHS blogs wrote a letter to production. They went on strike because they were you're not giving us anything.
Yeah.
Is this franchise dead?
Yeah.
Because it's been renewed.
They've got 2 more seasons already allowed, and also have dumping 2 per week is a little odd.
Yeah, it feels like they're trying to just get rid of it. And so approaching this, I was sort of okay. Because even the theme, the NYC, it's I guess there's stuff there. New York City is such a thing, but I don't know. There was something about it that was feeling odd. And they are filming in New York City. It's a first. But having watched the first 2 episodes, it feels like a slightly overhauled show.
It does a little.
Way more naturalistic.
Sure.
Way more grounded in reality.
Sure, yes. Oh, yeah. So far, we had Billy Lord, Patti Lupone, and Leslie Grossman in these episodes, and not a single one of them shrieked.
No.
A single time.
Very.
In fact, Patti Lupone only sang at a bathhouse.
Yeah,
That's all she's done so far.
Jazz standards.
Yeah.
There's no reason to believe there's anything supernatural happening, at least not yet.
I slightly disagree.
Okay.
The leather daddy is
ghosty.
He's ghosty. And also Zachary Quinto walked right by him when he was going into his apartment. But then when it showed from the leather daddy's perspective, it was all foggy.
I think the gayness of this season is interesting. And I think it's different because American Horror Story, and certainly as it went, became explicitly and in your face gay.
Yeah.
But it was always it was happening in an alternate reality where everybody was just sort of gay or everybody was just sort of down for whatever, where this feels way more like it's taking place in our reality.
The real world.
Within a gay subculture.
Oh my God, that stupid bitch mom is going to be making a video game again, isn't she?
That's American Horror Stories.
I'm just saying.
You're too guarded. You're too guarded. You need to learn how to love again. You need to learn how to trust.
I like meat, but I don't know if I'm ready to love again.
So I'm finding it very interesting. Going into this, I was not excited or enjoying it for about the first 20 minutes of the first episode because it takes place in New York City in a very grounded reality in 1981.
Yeah. Tough times.
I'm just all good on gay grief. Gay grief and Black trauma, I'm good. Like, I'm good for a long while. I don't need those topics for me personally to be explored.
That's the thing is, like, we don't need them. People need them.
Sure.
And so, like, I understand the instinct to still want to be telling those stories, but...
Sure, of course.
It, again, just goes back to that one Jacob Clifton thing that we always refer back to, where it's, like, every Ryan Murphy property is, like, stuck in this time period of gayness. Like, and it was obviously very traumatic for the world.
Even when it's
I
not,
get
they're
it.
acting like it.
Exactly. And so I'm just like, I would also love for us to branch out of this. And like, it's one of the reasons, I don't know how this is going to turn out for me, but it's one of the reasons I liked Bros a lot, is because they were just like having a nice relationship and it was cute, you know? And I'm just like, this is sad. And I'm sad about the murders and stuff. It sucks. It was real. It sucks. There's this like deer disease on Fire Island, and it's just a lot.
There was 2 places that I thought this could go. And not necessarily a culmination of the season, but I was sort of like, I feel like we're either going to get 9/11 or AIDS.
Oh boy.
And I feel like we're getting AIDS.
Yeah.
In a way that it's not that I'm wanting for 9/11 content, but I'm wanting to reframe the narrative.
Oh, sure.
I'm done with the tragedy porn of it.
Yeah.
And there was something about the notion that we could maybe start to look at it through a 2 decades removed lens. That, because I mean, it is in the DNA of New York City.
Oh, 100%.
And I mean, I think we're going to jump around in time. But it's sort of my fear when you were talking about the Leatherman and the supernatural thing. My fear is that this is all a giant AIDS metaphor.
Oh, it's some of it, at least part of it.
Wait, literally.
At least part of it is an AIDS metaphor for sure. The deer disease on Fire Island, which very clearly Mr. Whiteley and Zachary Quinto's character both have that as well, along with potentially one of the lesbians that keeps trying to go to the newspaper that Gino works for. So I'm like, that's already spread in a way that it's like they massacred every deer on Fire Island at the beginning or at the end of episode 1. And then we like sort of open episode 2 with like 4 people having this rash and disease.
The caption just said deer screaming.
Oh God.
I laughed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrible, but I was like, that's egregious.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Like, because I mean, you heard commotion, but they don't know.
No, I mean, they probably did. Especially because, like, how long has Fire Island been like a gay place? You know, they're not going up there to hunt deer. Those deer are living an idyllic life.
They were adorable, but the deer screaming really kind of, it was a cherry on top. But no, my fear is that this Leatherman is AIDS.
Oh, yeah.
That they're going to personify it with a boogeyman.
Okay.
And so that the whole like Zachary Quinto walking right past him, I'm like, was he actually there, or is it the spirit of AIDS looming large? And it's like, there's somebody that would work for.
Sure, yeah.
It's not me. Yeah. I'm a millennial. I'm 37 years old. I've seen Stranger by the Lake. They claim that's not what it's about. Let's be honest. I think they did a better job.
Yeah. Well, so the other thing, too, is I think that in addition to the AIDS epidemic, I think this is also a pandemic metaphor. This is like a COVID metaphor
so
as well.
If we go broader, I think I might be more receptive to it. It just, like I said, in a weird way, it does feel like an overhaul. We have new blood, particularly in Russell Tovey and Joe Mantello. Welcome, new blood. Russell Tovey feels right. I'm not familiar with Joe, but I've warmed up to him. He really earned his place.
I love Russell Tovey. I've never actually he was in Being Humans. I've never watched it, but I've seen lots of clips from it. He is so cute. He's got such a weird shaped head. I love it.
I love it so much. I like weird things like that. Like Tyler Posey's crooked jaw. We have what I find to be an appealing lead in Charlie Carver's Adam.
Yep.
And it's sort of, that's a place where I was sort of refreshed by these 2 episodes, is a lot of these people I knew they were going to be in it, but I thought that they were going to be filling out the background and way like they have in previous things. And it's like, I mean, you mentioned one of the first things you mentioned, but as far as female leads, it's like we have Billy Lord, Leslie Grossman, Sandra Bernhard, Patti Lupone, and they're all very tempered, and they're all very kind of towards.
Because I am not a Sandra Bernhard girly.
Really? I think
not at all.
I think she has her place.
This is it. If she maintains this speed, because I also like her, she has a very minimal run on Brooklyn Nine-Nine as Gina's mom, Chelsea Peretti's mom, and so like that, like I like her when she's like this, but like she's not my flavor.
I'm very interested in what they're going to do with the dichotomy between the gays and the lesbians.
I'm actually, I hope they do continue to focus on that, because it's a huge problem. Like I keep seeing, especially lately, I keep seeing stuff. There's like less than 25 lesbian bars in the country. That's insane.
Well, and they are presenting on the surface. Hostile is not the word I want, but they're presenting tough and aggressive, but it's a facade, and both parties sort of know that, as evidenced by him giving them the desk and the one kissing him. And well,
it's also like they give him the knife first, and then he like pulls the switchblade back on them, and I think it's Sandra Bernhard is like, give me that before you stab yourself. Like it's very funny.
I'm gonna say something controversial and brave, but given the choice, well, I have 2 things to say that are controversial and brave. The first, most controversial and brave thing is I always liked RC Cola.
Oh.
He gave him an RC Cola instead of a Coke.
Well, I'm a Pepsi girl, so we know that.
The second was given...
I'm a Pepsi girl, but I'm a Fountain Coke at McDonald's person, so...
Given the choice between the gays and lesbians, I will pick the lesbians every single time. Every single time. Yeah. Let's go lesbians. They are a sturdy people.
Well, they also, like, I think that's the thing that interests me the most about, like you said, this dichotomy, because, like, he is, like, someone's killing gay men, and they are, like, women need equal rights, and no one talks about lesbians. And so it's like, yes, gay men in New York City are being murdered, but that's, like, they are working to a much broader purpose.
But it's a Gossip Girl effect, where it's like there's lots of bickering and infighting amongst them, but when shit gets real, like there are these... I can't even think about it without tearing up, but there are posters from this time during the AIDS epidemic that the lesbians were passing out, and it was like, come on, girls, our brothers need us. Where it was like, they talk about how there's a reason why so many queer people of this generation are women. And it's like the lesbians really had to come in and pick up the slack and like do the work and donate the blood and do all of this stuff. And so I'm finding that very interesting. I'm truly, truly hoping. I am not familiar with or following the behind the scenes stuff, so I don't know if we're dealing with a new showrunner. Like I said, this move to New York, that feels like there would be a changing of the guard. But I'm truly hoping.
I kind of can't believe they've never shot in New York before. I guess it's all Los Angeles locations. Wild. Oh, and I guess they didn't actually film in Roanoke, but
no, Freak Show takes place in Florida, but they filmed in New Orleans,
which you can do.
Yeah, and so I'm hoping that there was a changing of the guard and stuff, and I'm hoping that they do sort of, because it's like I keep saying, because it's grounded in such a reality. I hope that there's a subtlety and a thoughtfulness to this, and that it doesn't fly off the rails 6 episodes in.
I hope so too, especially because it seems like you said, we might move through time, but it does seem like this is all, it's not split like last season was. This is all one story.
I want to talk a little bit about some of the characters and some of the plots. I am a big fan of Billy Lord's. I don't know that I actually find her to be that good of an actress, but there is still something, I mean, it's in her DNA. There's something appealing.
I was going to say, I think what's going to happen is in like roughly 10 years, she's going to win an Academy Award.
Okay.
Because I think you're right. She totally has that it factor. She just needs to like hone.
I think this role is wearing her a little bit, but I also don't mind.
No, I don't care.
We haven't seen a lot of her, but she is a scientist that's studying this disease that's affecting deer. And as you mentioned, seemingly is hopping to humans.
Well, she also starts talking about some kind of carcinoma or sarcoma that she's only really seen in like elderly Italian men, but it seems to be spreading. And so it's like I don't remember what they thought AIDS was for. They thought it was cancer, but I don't remember if there was like a specific kind.
I know all of this stuff. I've learned it all. I just doesn't mean I necessarily retain it.
So I mean, again, I think that's where that part is going. I certainly think she's holding her own. I mean, here's the thing too. So far, the only people that she's had scenes with are like day players and Zachary Quinto. And Zachary Quinto is going to act circles around most of the people involved in this production. It's shocking to me.
This is his first time back since Asylum.
I didn't realize that. Also, he's got the best face.
It feels like considering how shaken up this cast is, a teeny part of it feels like going home in a weird way.
A little bit. I definitely see that. Because also we've got Dennis O'Hara's back. Only in episode 1 so far.
So fantastic.
Yeah.
He's just captivating. So the plot wise, we have Russell Tovey as Patrick and Joe Mantello as Gino. They are a couple who got together later in life because Patrick came out. He was married to Leslie Grossman's Barbara. A very dynamic as always, but again, subtle.
Very pulled back. She literally is just sort of like a slighted wife. Like but
she's not even that angry. I mean, she has her baggage and her wounds.
Yeah.
But she's just sort of, I'm very compelled.
I also loved the scene in the second episode where she came to Gino and she was like, look, I found this when I was cleaning out Patrick's stuff and it spooked me.
They're treating the handkerchief code like it's it's like nefarious, like it's like dark. And I'm like, that's pretty standard.
It's like forever.
I was a little thrown by that.
Like forever, ever.
Like they're talking about it like they found some I don't know. I was like,
he does have all the colors in there. he's getting around, but he also keeps claiming that this is not his scene. So he's obviously, and because I loved that moment where she was like, "Look, Gino, maybe
it's his dad's from it's like childhood trauma or something."
But I do love that she was like, "Look, yes, I'm hurt that I'm getting divorced and that he lied, but it's like, this exists and I found it. And if he lied to me, he might also be lying to you." And then Gino basically didn't confront him about it, but was like, "You're coming to these bars with me so we can investigate. Choose a handkerchief."
I'm appreciating it. I'm appreciating Joe's performance, but he is a character that I find trying, and because I understand his position and his place, and in the grand scheme of things, the moral arc of the universe, he is right. He is correct. It's just exhausting having someone constantly lecturing you
about how to be gay.
About like
you're totally right, because it's also like it's almost like he's shaming Patrick for like having gotten married to a woman in the first place. And it's like for
trying to make a difference, for trying to fight the good fight from within the machine.
And he just is like, "When are you going to tell the other cops that you're gay?" And I'm like, never tell the other cops that you're gay in 1981.
Or, I mean, you do, but it's slowly and subtly, you know?
Because then I did also love that Charlie Carver's Adam was when he was in custody, he asked Patrick, "How many of them know about you?" And he was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And he was like, "Oh, okay. I get it." I just think there seems also to be a decent age difference between them, like 10 or 15 years.
Easily 10.
And so what I find interesting is that Gino clearly has been out for like the majority of his adult life. And I think
we also get the sense that he also was born and raised in New York.
In New York City, exactly. And so
a tiny bit
easier. And so I think there's a very like why wouldn't you have just come, like, why wouldn't you have just been living your life the
also
whole time?
Don't forget, like, or to new younger audiences, myself included, don't forget or take for granted that we were making great strides in the 70s before the moral majority swooped in the 80s and undid.
Ronald Reagan is the reason for all of our problems.
And undid all of that work. Like there were gay bars on TV in the 70s in ways that we didn't get that again until 1998.
Yeah.
We have Isaac Powell as Theo.
He's cute too. Was he in something else recently?
He's familiar to me, but I don't know. He's a photographer. It's pretty standard.
Yeah.
Gay, erotic photography. There were like 2 or 3 things that I sort of yelped at from a place of authenticity, but like and a oop. The first was when he flipped the bar stool upside down.
Oh my god.
Well, even before that, he was like not squatting over a traffic cone. Also, I've said a lot about the subtlety of this series and the gayness and all that. And there's a scene where Adam is in the photography studio and the secretary lady offers him a bump of cocaine, and he says, "No, thank you. It makes me shit my pants." And representation matters. To be truly seen is...
It's nice. This is nice.
So there were a couple things that I laughed out loud in, and there was another one, and I'm missing it right now. I don't remember.
Another moment where you felt seen?
Well, no, where I was like, oh! I was like, oh, they said the thing. I'm really noticing that this is on cable. I really wish this was streaming. The fact that we're not going to get a penis from this feels incorrect.
Yeah.
It feels wrong.
Especially because Russell Tovey is, I think, British. And you know those British boys are just whipping their dicks out all over everywhere.
But yeah, so he's like an artist, and Zachary Quinto, Sam, is his like patron / sugar daddy?
Yeah.
Who kidnaps boys and is seemingly... It's different than the killer.
Yeah, also because it's like the boy, what was his name, Stu? He didn't seem put out that he was in a cage. He seemed put out that Zachary Quinto left him there.
It seemed like it was a game that had gone too far.
Sure.
In a way that we witnessed Gino being properly tortured.
Exactly, yes. And the thing for me too is that, so he was like, Stu was like, this isn't what I signed up for. And Zachary Quinto's response was, you answered a payphone outside a leather bar. You know exactly what you signed up for. And I was like,
I don't want to victim blame, but...
I mean...
Armed only with the sound of his voice and a name, he went into a basement.
That's
true.
And
it do be like that sometimes, but I mean, not for me.
Don't let it
anymore.
Be like that. Don't be like that. Be safe when you go on your hookups. Be safe. And that was to everybody. That was a general. Please be safe.
So we have whatever Sam's doing.
Yeah.
And it just is Mr. Whiteley.
Yeah.
I remember he corrected her. I don't remember which one was correct though.
Whiteley is correct.
Mr. Whiteley is the one that was torturing Gino.
Yes.
I was like, oh, we're just seeing.
We just know. Yeah.
And it's like a Jeffrey Dahmer thing, I suppose.
Well, not
which is
really.
all the rage or not. It's either the best or worst thing ever.
I think that nobody has a problem with the documentaries, but the fact that someone is profiting off of the Netflix series, which is in grotesque detail showing the trauma, that's what people are upset about.
I mean, is that not what true crime is?
Yes and no. It's also a dicey time because it was like majority people of color that he killed, and so it was like it's hitting the zeitgeist in a really tough way. And here's the other thing.
It's Netflix's most successful show since Stranger Things or something.
Here's the thing too, is that like because I'm on TikTok a lot, all of the like white lady true crime people were like, I wish they went further and showed it in more detail. And people are like, real people died. Like, actual real people died. Why do you want to see it more grotesque than it is? So there's like, it's all just like a snowball.
No, as someone who's not super into true crime, I'm just sort of like, are we doing this or not? I mean, if you're gonna be a bear, be a grizzly. So I don't know. I find the whole thing odd. In mixed messages.
I don't know necessarily that it is. I mean, I guess it could be a Jeffrey Dahmer type of thing, but he did just stab the guy in the neck in episode 2.
Mm-hmm. I just mean he had a Jeffrey Dahmer quality.
Oh, sure.
A nerdy gay
thing.
And then there's this leather daddy who Adam is certain it's this man that Theo photographed 10 years ago because he looked just like him. And I'm like, sir, there are so many muscly white dudes.
Also, is he not wearing a gimp mask in every photo?
It's odd, but so there's three potential villains at this point. We mentioned Patti Lupone. She's a lounge singer. There was a like a stunning scene where she had this like it was great. I don't know. It was just like
she was singing Fever the first time.
I loved the bathhouse. All of the trauma and death aside, what a time to be gay.
Yeah.
What a time and place. There's just something a little like, oh,
yeah,
something so tastefully taboo about it. There's also a character, Alana, that Rebecca Diane plays Alana, and she owns one of the bars or manages one of the bars because the mob owns it.
Yeah,
but she was presented like a character on the show.
That's the one where the guy got stabbed in episode 2.
Is that it?
That is mostly it. There was like not a ton of like plot, but it's like we got a bunch of pieces.
Cal Penn works at the police station.
No, I love Cal Penn. No, I like love Cal Penn so much. I hate this character.
Yeah, recently out Cal Penn. It felt like a win for us. I always thought he was cute.
He's so cute. It's absolutely a win. He was dropping F slurs and he's like the chief of police. First of all, no, he's not the chief of police in 1981, but Cal Penn, sorry. But he's very aggressive and they're just like allowing Charlie Carver to get like beat up by like a huge muscly dude because they can't do it. And I'm like, you're up to here with some stuff. I'm up to here with police brutality. And I'm just like, get away from me.
And it did end with them finding a bunch of hands on a chain.
Yeah.
Someone's killing gay men. We obviously said that. But Sandra Bernhardt maybe has information that she was trying to give Billy Lord Fran. That was her name, right? Hannah.
Sandra Bernhardt is Fran. But also so is the other white lesbian.
KK?
No. Clara McGregor. Her name is Fran as well. And then Kay Tan, his name is Lita.
So, yeah. Okay. Well, we'll be back next week with 1 or 2 more episodes. Yep. And cautiously optimistic. Not getting hurt again.
Prove it.
Bye.
Bye.